Welcome to Rambles with Nix. I, of course, am Nix. Today I want to ramble on about the Lottery Commission as well as the broader topic of gambling in South Africa. Because it was a big saga in the media, a couple of weeks ago? And now, what's happening, guys? What's happening? What's happening with the Lottery Commission? And then we just move on to the next hot topic of corruption. But that money is still being stolen and spent wastefully, our money. And I guess I just want to bring this topic back into the light. The point is that we shouldn't forget about this. Because when I did a quick little Google search this morning, boy, oh boy, did I find a whole bunch of other nonsense. And one of those points of interest is that 1.1 trillion rand is spent on gambling every year. The problem is that of that 1.1 trillion, only 7.95, I think it is, billion is sports betting. The only other legal gambling you can do is the Lotto. And there's no way 90 billion comes in from Lotto. Because did you know gambling in South Africa, online, in terms of casinos, etc., is illegal? But the board, the gambling board that should be controlling this, hasn't had a bunch of chairmen and directors for years. So let's start off with the fact that online gambling is illegal in South Africa. And really, as far as I understand from a more recent article, there are no plans to stop it. You know why? Because of who's operating this, Mr. Parks Town. What a dodgy person. Oh. Online gambling, except sports betting, is illegal in South Africa. So, according to National Gambling Act of 2004, any form of online gambling except sports betting is illegal in South Africa. This includes online casino, online poker, and others performed remotely. In a written parliamentary response, Minister of Trade, Industry, Competition, Parks Tau, said the department is aware of the growing challenge of illegal online gambling in the country. Sure. 1.1 trillion worth of online bets in a year. Revenue generated from online gambling has doubled since 2019. So, a lure of cheap money is a sharp hook, yes. What I found very interesting is that lottery tickets via banking app, big issue. But it says here, Sassa grant recipients are also falling prey to the idea of quick cash. A recent NGB survey showed 27% of gamblers are on social grants. So a third of the people receiving grants are gamblers. Statistics show that online sports betting has more than doubled in revenue and raked in 7.2 billion in 2024. That's just online sports betting. We still need to account for another 90 billion because the bill is 1.1 trillion. Players can now enjoy a variety of casino games, including slots, poker, blackjack, and roulette, from the comfort of their home. It literally says here, we can now enjoy a wide variety of illegal gambling from the comfort of our home. The thing is, Lottery corruption. Investigation hamstrung by red tape. This is 15 months ago. Permission was sent to investigate dodgy procurement deals. Lottery, dodgy, illegal, all of these words, and then who comes up? Parks Towel. So it applied for an amendment. The Department of Justice and Constitutional Development is yet to submit its recommendation to President Cyril Ramaphosa on whether to grant it.
Wait a minute, what? Wait a minute, what?
Yeah. The ministry acknowledges, thank you, the seriousness of the matter and remains committed to ensuring that all allegations of corruption are addressed appropriately within the confines of the law. I feel like that last little piece is strange because you would address allegations appropriately, which means within the law. The department has completed its assessment of the request and will be advising the minister and the presidency in due course. What the actual? You've completed the assessment. What's the holdup here, guys? Africa time. Anyway, another area of concern is the tens of millions of rand in spending on media and communications, with a disproportionate amount paid to the Sunday World newspaper. And you know full well I'm going down that rabbit hole at some point. Millions of rands in dodgy payments were also made to the National Lottery Commission service providers. Take a deep breath, guys, including a nearly $500,000 payment to service provider Neo Consulting to investigate a computer hack that never happened. If this is what our government calls highly skilled and competent workforce, we need to then dig a bit deeper as to what they understand as transformation and reform and all that jazz, because this entire article highlights complete incompetence and disregard for doing your job in any way. This is just a flagrant disregard for processes and procedures and the taxpayers' money. Pro-ethics, which advised the National Lottery Commission on ethics when the organization was overwhelmed by rampant corruption, was used to circumvent procurement processes. Pro-ethics was used to circumvent procurement processes. The Commission paid Pro-ethics over $28.4 million. The company, in turn, said it paid other service providers, which it had no part in appointing, on the National Lottery Commission's instructions. Man, every single one of my videos has this absolute moment of horror.
These are all huge traumatic parts of our history.
Yeah. So you paid Pro-ethics, which is an ethics organization, to do something unethical. I mean, if that's not a cherry on a cake, I don't know what is. Here's something interesting. Presidential proclamations since 2001 is 300. More than a total of 55% of those, 164, has been issued since President Cyril's administration. The SIU gets its funding from two sources. It gets a budget from DOJ CD, and it can also bill the institutions it investigates for the services provided and retain these funds. Here's the kicker. Many of its clients, which are all state institutions, were not paying for the services as they are required to do. You are kidding me. How is this a functional organization within the government? Like, I reiterate, we're in a very abusive relationship with the ANC. As of March 2024, so more than a year ago, the SIU has a debt book exceeding 1 billion owed by 272 state institutions. This led to the SIU launching Project Kokela in October 24, with letters of demand being issued to these institutions for prompt debt settlement. Yeah. So our SIU is about to fall apart. And the last bit, before we can look at the issuing of the license from Mr. Park's Tower, which involved Paul Mashatile and his France trip, and I mean, it's a spider web, really. South Africa's National Gambling Board, the one that would be able to control the 1.1 trillion rand, majority of its illegal gambling, has not had members since 2014, 11 years ago. And board selection process has yet to be concluded. I want you to note that this article is from yesterday. The board must ensure South Africa has an effectively regulated and supervised gambling industry that upholds domestic, continental, and internationally recognized compliance standards. Yeah, that's not going to happen. South Africa has a robust and highly lucrative gambling industry. 1.1 trillion worth of wages placed in the 24 financial year, a 40% increase from the previous financial year. The National Gambling Board, therefore, plays a crucial role in combating illegal gambling in South Africa, which has boomed over the past few years, alongside the rise in the popularity of online gambling. Correct. Despite the prevalence of this threat, the National Gambling Board has been without members for over a decade. What? But here's the kicker. The higher revenue this year is primarily related to spending incurred against professional and consulting fees, which constituted 74% of expenditure. With all of that professional and consulting fees, you have yet to process legislation and new amendments. You have yet to allocate a board or put any sort of legal restrictions on illegal gambling. Similar to the taxi industry, if it's not regulated, it's because the ANC and the fat cat cadres are making money off it somehow under the table. I can guarantee you that. The taxi industry pays 0.0058% of tax due. Here we have hundreds of thousands of millions of trillions of rands leaving. We spend 74% on professional and consulting fees. The gambling board doesn't have members for over a decade. I mean, mind blown. I can't. I need to take up smoking again. Okay, so now I'm finished with my rants. That's an update of everything else happening with the Lottery Commission. And you can see why I don't want these things to go to bed. Because who knows, tomorrow, some other great thing's going to happen. Department of Education, off, new topic, on. It's almost like we need a repository of all of these things, like categorized by institution. I'm going to build it and we're going to do it, guys. But seriously, because then we can follow each of these stories and the progress. Because it just comes and goes, one thing after the next thing after the next thing. I'm exhausted with the amount of corruption and lack of accountability. Without further ado, here is the lottery license video, which looks into the detail of who's connected to Paul, the whole diagram or an organogram, etc., etc. And they both stand on stage and proclaim their innocence. It was done according to the requirements of something. Sure, dude, whatever. You don't even have a board member for your gambling board. After spending 74% of your budget on consultants. I get so angry. I hope you've enjoyed this part of the video. If you have, like, share, subscribe. But remember, we cannot let all of these stories get lost in the dark because there's so much corruption, we can't keep on top of it. Let's start off by looking at why this matters and why we should care about this so much. Because the South African National Lottery License, it's a big deal. It's 180 billion rand over 8 years, coming to 22 billion rand a year. That's nice money. I don't think I'll ever see that kind of money in my lifetime. So it's been referred to as a license to print money. Again, which is why this is so important. The outgoing operator, Utuba Holdings, disclaimer by the way, please excuse my pronunciation. I'm not so good with this kind of stuff. But the message is important. So, the outgoing operator, Utuba Holdings, made a whopping 7.28 billion in turnover last year, in 1 year. That's serious money. That's very big money. So I guess most of us, if you have a soul, would think that with this kind of money, with this great money, comes great responsibility. So on top of that, the Lotteries Act is crystal clear. No political party or office bearer can have any direct financial interest in the company that wins the contract. Seems pretty straightforward. I would presume a lawyer looked this over. Good. Why is this act in place? To prevent corruption, favoritism, and anything shady. Funny, because the ANC is all about corruption, favoritism, and anything shady, aka Iran. So, yay, you put the act in place, but please, you don't need to abide by it. I mean, that's just for show. Seriously. So, here we go and talk about Parks Tau, Minister of Trade. I am not a big fan of this man at all. Horrifying. So the Minister of Trade, Parks Tau, he even delayed the decision in December. I remember the articles about that. And he did that to ensure that the winning company's owners were fit and proper and free of political ties. Even I can say Epic fail, Parks. Epic fail. If anything, you achieved the complete opposite. A completely unfit and improper awarding of a license that is embroiled in political affairs. So, 10 out of 10 on that regard. But as always, the ANC never fails to surprise. You know, and I guess this is now where everything gets messy. Because since then, we've awarded the license. And this is the situation us South Africans find ourselves in. So let's talk about the winning bidder and the family ties. When you look at the organogram, fascinating. And how you can think that there is no ties and that you don't know each other is imposterous. It is a blatant lie on camera. How do you not know the sister of this? I mean, sure. Now, enter Kaya Holdings, the company awarded the golden ticket. I wish it was to a chocolate factory. I really like chocolate. But here's where we all need to raise our eyebrows and start really understanding how corrupt the ANC is. And the fact that they were lying so blatantly on camera is what really irks me. No. Kaya is linked to some very close connections to Mr. Deputy President Paul Mashatile. This Paul Mashatile is dodgy AF. First up, Kumo Bukatsu. She's the twin sister of Matashile's wife. I mean, if you can find an excuse to explain that you two have never been, where was she when you got married? Did she not come to the wedding? She's the twin sister. Horrifying. Kumo co-owns Bellamont Gaming, which is a shareholder in Kaya Holdings. Really, Paul? Really, Parks? You put it off in December to make sure that the license was awarded to a company that was fit and proper. Guys, don't stop watching. It gets a lot more complicated. Yeah, fascinating. So, here's the real kicker. Both Bellamont and Kaya were registered just before the lottery application deadline in February 2024. So there's hundreds of billions, 22 billion rand a year license was given to two shareholders just over a year old and operating. I mean, come on, your track record, ANC. If we go by that, this is very convenient timing. So now there's Moses Tembe, a prominent businessman from KwaZulu-Natal, and he is the chair of Kaya Holdings. So, sources say Tembe is super close to Matashile. Allegedly, Matashile and his wife stayed at Tembe's fancy Umhloti beach home for 6 days, funny enough, in February. I mean, there's so many dots, there's barely any white space left over. Pictures even surfaced of them together at St. Paul's Anglican Church. I don't know this person. Just the only thing that keeps running through my mind is, wow, you're so okay with lying, even though all of this evidence is stacked against you. It doesn't stop there. I'm not joking. Temba and another Kaya figure, Sandile Zungu, an ANC-linked businessman, joined Matashile on a business trip to France, this recent business trip, May 2025, for an investment conference. The first thing that comes to my mind on that point is, are you investing my money or your money or my stolen money? And I'm going to go ahead and presume I will not reap any benefits from that. Apart from the exorbitant hotel bill, you evil, money-sucking pig, Matashile. So, all of this happened while the lottery license decision was under scrutiny. I mean, facts, Paul and Parks lie. Yeah, so now we all know why this is an absolute uproar in the media and the chaos. You know, the ANC is operating with impunity, like a mafia on their own, openly and fragrantly touting the law, giving it a middle finger. White law, who needs the law? Don't worry about it. So there is some political pushback. I'm glad. And I'm surprised, I'm more and more surprised that it's the EFF challenging the ANC. I'm sure there's a reason behind that for political gain. But the situation has set off alarm bells across South Africa. You just need to open X to see that. So the EFF and Bosa are waving red flags. And it says that it raises serious concerns about the legitimacy. Correct. Bosa even filed a PAIA, Personal Access to Information Act request in October 2024 to find out who was on the adjudication panel, citing political conflicts of interest. But again, the ANC go off and do things under their own little guise of still leading this country. Again, very typical. National Health Insurance Act, Bella Act, Expropriation Without Compensation Act, all signed without other political parties' involvement. And now they can't even give us the details on the adjudication panel. Actually, we are in an abusive relationship with the ANC, and we've become so used to it, we don't even see it anymore. We just don't even see the actual abuse we're taking from this political party. You know, the Lotteries Act is strict for a reason, albeit not applied, but strict. So if political heavyweights like Deputy Paul are even perceived to have an influence over a 180 billion rand contract, it undermines public trust. But we've said this before, we know this. In fact, undermines public trust. There is no public trust, guys. Gone, disappeared, failed. And when you've got family and close associates in the winning company, it's not hard to see why people are skeptical. So now let's hear from the other side. Deputy President Paul, spokesperson, Keith Causa, has flat out denied any interference. Cool, that's nice. That doesn't mean that your denial is true. Siskaya Holdings is also pushing back hard. They say they followed the Lotteries Act to the letter. That's fine. The point is that the adjudication panel was influenced. Your paperwork can be all spicky-spanny. That's irrelevant. Don't distract us. The point is that somebody influenced the adjudication panel, which now nobody wants to share with us. Don't distract us. So as for Tembe's ties to Matashile, They claim it's no secret. They even explained the France trip as a legit invite from the South African ambassador to promote investment. I hope that wasn't to promote investment into South Africa. Why would a country invest in South Africa when the bill to sanction us is awaiting final signatures? Again, how stupid do you think people are? So, all said and done, what's the truth? Because at the end of the day, the facts are, this is political interference. This is not just an unfortunate set of circumstances. Look at the organogram. Think about the fact that Paul's wife got married. Who do you think was a flower girl? A bridesmaid? No, like the fact that you haven't seen or met each other or is irrelevant. The fact that they followed due process and have all their paperwork in order is irrelevant. That's just evidence of you covering your tracks. Let's go back to who was on the adjudication panel. That's what needs to be discussed. Can we agree that there was no transparency in how this 180 billion rand contract was awarded? Can we agree that a review of the adjudication panel needs to be done? Have a great day, guys. Over and out.